You ever ask yourself why you're losing at life? Ooh, that's kind of a tough question, right? But on this video, we're going to talk about it. Why you're losing the game. But it's not your fault. And you're also playing the game and losing the game with 98% of the other people that are on the population of this Earth's surface. So we're going to talk about this, and we're going to talk about 4 specific rules on how to actually not lose through life, how you can actually win. So let's dive in. So really enjoying these videos already. We've already made one, and here's something kind of cool. So I just made this fancy drawing, made a nice little box out of it, and here we already have a little competition going on. We got this little mini eraser, little guy, and I don't know, it's kind of got like a cool soothing, like ASMR, something like that. I don't even know what that is really. Sound to it. And we're basically having a little contest already. Didn't even realize this was going to be a thing. But who wants to name this guy? Who wants to name this little adorable little eraser guy? But on top of that, I've also discovered a life hack. Okay? I was putting it up here thinking I gotta put it right there, and it's like falling off a little bit. What do you know it? It just sticks on there. So life is good. Life is good. All right, we're gonna dive in, and I want to see some notes down below. Very important we take notes. You're not gonna learn this stuff. You're not gonna conceptualize. You're not gonna know this stuff unless you take notes. Share it with everybody in the comments. Okay? Well, first off, let's talk about this real quick. Life is a game. Okay? Life is a game. And the people that know that, these are the 2%. The people that are winning at life. And then again, this video is going to show you the 4 rules. If you set them up correctly, you're going to start winning at life. But really the overarching thing here is that the 2% know that life is truly a game. Now, on the flip side, like we talked about just a moment ago, the 98% of people, and you right now, otherwise you probably wouldn't be watching this video, are losing because they feel like it's a struggle. They feel like it's hard. They feel like it's challenging. Right? And as long as you have that perspective that life is a battle, it's always going to be that way. Because we're going to talk through these concepts, and it's really powerful, but like this is the overarching thing. If you can really just understand this concept that life is truly a game, and you just gotta set up the game so that you actually win, you're going to experience all the abundance that's meant to be. It's powerful stuff. Okay? So, understand that. And I'm so excited about this little guy. And now I don't have to, do this little dance about putting it up on top. I literally just go, oh, look at that. Magic man. Magic man. We're getting a lot of comments on the last video. Proud of y'all. Getting a lot of good feedback. You guys like the whiteboard style. We're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep doing it. Rule number 1. Life is mental. Life is mental. Okay, there's actually 3 planes. It's not just mental. Okay, but there's 3 planes. There's the mental plane. There is the spiritual plane. And then there is the physical plane. Okay, so I want to explain this with a story real quick. So, I played baseball back in college, all the way through college. And there was this one particular season where I just got zoned in. And I practiced all these rules that I'm going to share with you, and it's why I ended up winning. Okay? But it all started in the mind, right? And you'll understand that this is the big key to all this, is like once you have this alignment through all three, that's when you start winning. Okay, but it all starts with this guy right here in mental, and that's what I did with baseball. I basically had one season to figure out how to play the absolute most best baseball I've ever played and just play absolute lights out, while figuring out a way on how to get a college that I actually wanted to come recruit me and scout me out and say, we actually want you, and then offer a scholarship at the same time. So if you look at this from a logistical, physical realm, right here, where you're like, hey, you have like 2 months to figure out how to get onto a D1 team and get a scholarship. It doesn't make sense. Like, it just doesn't happen. Like, especially because no one was interested in me. I had a really poor freshman season and didn't even play all the time. And then I basically had one season to like figure out how to get a school that I actually wanted to come recruit me and play lights out on top of everything. Okay, so it didn't really make sense. But what I did understand is that life is mental, the game is mental, and it always starts mental. Okay, but here's the thing. Okay, I want to share this quick little stat real quick. According to the planes here, is that the mental, the spiritual, and the physical plane, they're all planes of the whole spectrum. Okay? Now what's interesting is that the physical plane is only 0.0035% of the entire electromagnetic spectrum. It's only what we see with our eyes. So think about that, like over here, let's just say this is the whole spectrum. It's probably far less than that, but that is the physical plane. Right there. That's all it is. It's so tiny and insignificant, right? Compared to everything else across the spiritual and the mental plane. Yet, what do most people do? They focus on the physical. They're like, oh, this isn't working. I'm not making the money that I want. I'm not having the relationships that I want. And it's all based on the physical of what you can see. But what you realize after understanding this little factoid here is that it is such a small piece of it, and everything is actually already created. Okay, and we're going to talk about the mental plane and how everything starts as thought and then turns into emotion. And then it's your belief. And then therefore it turns into your identity and your emotional conviction, your self-concept, whatever you want to call it. Okay? But if we're basing everything on the physical plane, which has very little bearing, then we're screwed. We're absolutely screwed. And it's funny because, you know, most people will say like, oh, you're being delusional if you don't see something, but you're still believing in it. But like, who's actually being delusional there? Right? If this is such a small, not insignificant, but small piece of the entire puzzle, right? The more that you believe in the mental and the spiritual, that's when you actually start winning. Okay, so to tie up that story about the baseball is that I got very clear, and I'll show you exactly what I did here on this video across all the rules. But when you start understanding this stuff, you bend reality to your will. Okay, and what happened is I played absolutely lights out. I was doing crazy things like hitting home runs off the 7 of the scoreboard, which is so unbelievably rare. I would be so enamored to see what the actual statistics are, because it was opposite field of where I was hitting, which means it takes a lot more strength to get there. It was windy, wood bats, like home runs barely happen at our stadium at all. And then to the last pitch, the first pitch of the last inning, because I imagined all this stuff. I saw it and I knew it beforehand. I had this emotional conviction. And again, I'm sharing all this stuff, but I had this emotional conviction that is what was going to happen. There was no doubt whatsoever. It happened. Boom, right off my bat, slow motion, pop, right off the 7 of the scoreboard. I'm running around the bases. The photographer there taking pictures. I'm in the newspaper. I'm just like, what is going on? But I understood this stuff before I actually like conceptually understood this and could be able to explain it. I just knew it deep down that this something happened much bigger than baseball. But it all starts in the mind. It all starts in the mental, right? Until you understand that on a deep core level, you're always going to be a servant to the physical plane, and you're always just going to be at the effect, right? And so that's another big thing, is that it's cause and effect. Cause leads to effect. And so mental is the cause. When you start putting things in your mind, you have these thoughts, which then turn into emotions, and then it eventually becomes your emotional conviction, your belief, your identity. Then it's your thought. Then it becomes an effect, right? The mental is the cause. The physical is an effect. And what's interesting, I think I'm gonna go to the next point here. There's a really cool phrase that I love talking about. And I actually shared this inside of our Skool Community today on our live call. So if you're not in there, what are you even doing, man? What are you even doing, man? Oh, almost slipped up there. So I want to come back to this cause and effect deal. And come back here. It's a little wet still. Jeez, such a production around here. Let's get to it. All right, we're good now. So if you are under the understanding that everything is cause and effect, cause is mental, so man, should have let it dry. What's going on here, man? What's going on here, man? Dry it up a little bit. There we go. A little more dry. Okay. Cause is mental. Effect is physical. So if you're under the impression that everything is physical and you're not paying attention to what I'm sharing here, is that you're always operating from the effect. And so you're trying to you're trying to change effect with effect. It's like this is the order. It's almost like this is a machine. Let's just say it's a money machine. You put $1 in, you get $2 out. Okay? You put $1 in, you get $2 out. Okay? Now we talk about this a lot in advertising. That's basically what you create. You create a cause and effect machine. So, with that being said, is that if you're trying to go fully physical on the 0.0035%, and you're just going with effect and effect and effect and effect, taking the action, thinking that's going to lead to the desired result, it's a losing game. Like, what are you even playing? You're not putting the money in the slot to get the money that comes out. You're just playing a game that doesn't work, right? You're putting something into the machine. Like, you're putting in a $2 bill, and maybe a $2 bill comes out, but it's never gonna be exponentially helping you, right? So you have to understand that everything starts in the mind. Because I saw those home runs before they happen. I saw myself getting a scholarship before it happened. I'll share with you the end of that story. It's absolutely nuts. Okay? But you have to understand it. With cause and effect, you always have to play this game. You put the $1 in, $2 come out. Otherwise, if you're playing, I got to take some action. I got to take action. I don't feel like it. I just operating from, a denser, lower vibration, and you just keep on taking action. You keep on taking action. Nothing's changing. If you've experienced that, if you continue to repeat cycles and it just keeps on happening, something's not working, right? And then even, you see this all the time with people that make a lot of money. They take a lot of action, they make a lot of money, but it's never enough. It's never enough. The same thing with, getting girls. Let's say that, like going out dating, and you're hooking up with a lot of girls. It's never enough. It's It's never enough. There's always a hotter girl. There's always more girls if you're playing that game, right? So you have to understand cause and effect, and cause starts in the mental, and then the physical is just a byproduct. You guys paying attention? Let's get to rule number 2. Let's get a little bit of ASMR in here. Oh yeah. This is fun. At least for me. And I'll get to why am I like just chuckling and laughing so much? It's just, am I doing this because it's who I am? Maybe. Or could it be something else? Well, I'm going to share that on actually point number 4. So rule number 2. There's a movie. It's called The Princess Bride. Okay? And if you've seen that video, or you've seen that movie, you probably know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, there's a phrase that this guy always says. He says, as you wish. He's the main character in the movie. I'd say he's the main character. Wesley. He always says that, as you wish. He was a farmer boy. He's a farm boy. And he was always just doing little odd jobs around the farm, taking care of things and helping out the family. And, Buttercup. Buttercup. They were just falling in love with each other. But they're not really supposed to. But like, Buttercup would always say, farm boy, fetch me some water. And he would always just say that. He would just say that. As you wish. And he was stumbling down the hill at one point. And said, as you wish. Why am I sharing all of that? Well, here's the thing, is that rule number 2 with winning the game of reality is as you wish. Okay? As you wish. You make the rules. You make okay, you make the rules. You make the rules with your thoughts, with your feelings, with your words, with your vibration, and ultimately your frequency, your emotional conviction. And we're going to talk about that actually on point number 2, and how to raise your frequency for good so that you quit attracting things in that you don't want. But you have to understand that your beliefs really govern so much. And really, with making your own rules, basically what that means is that whatever you speak is true. Whatever you believe is true. Whatever you think about is true. The universe is always gauging what you're saying, what you're thinking about, what kind of actions you're taking. It's just gauging all of that as what you want, right? So if you're complaining about something and you're saying, I don't want this bill, and the universe, God says, as you wish. It's yours. And that something that I bring up all the time on client calls. People will say something like, it's really hard. It's really hard. Insert meet cool people. Make money. Get a partner. Whatever it is, whenever I hear this, it's really hard. Farm boy says, as you wish. It's really hard to, find love in this world. As you wish. It's really hard to make money in this climate. Like, There's a lot of nonsense going on with economics and the political scene, and it's really hard to make money. As you wish. Whatever you say, whatever you speak, whatever you truly believe, right? And this really comes down to more so your frequency. It's like these words are just an indicator of what you are vibrating. Everything that you are experiencing is just an indicator of what you're vibrating, an indicator of what your frequency is. So that's why I always tell clients this, is that be very cognizant of the words that you're using, because the words are just an indicator of what you're thinking about. What you're thinking about is just an indicator of what you're feeling. What you're feeling is just an indicator of what your frequency and your vibration is, which those are two separate different things. I'll talk about that here in a second. Relax, we'll get to it. But understand that. It's like whatever you're putting out is what's coming back. That's why I got this tattoo. It says abracadabra. In Hebrew, it means as I speak, I create. Okay, you're always creating. That's why, again, we come back to rule number 1. Whatever you put out is what comes back. It starts in the mental, right? It starts in the mental plane, and then eventually it becomes in the physical plane. Okay? As I speak, I create. As I create, I create. Okay? And you can only create what you already have, which we'll get to here in a little bit about the whole frequency. But you have to understand, as you wish. As you wish. You make the rules, whatever you want to say, and it's interesting because I remember distinctly when this really sunk in for me was because we were at a barbecue. We threw a pool barbecue a couple of years ago. There was a girl there and she was just like, yeah, it's just like really hard to meet cool people. As you wish. I didn't say that, but it was interesting because I had a belief that was actually the opposite. I felt like it was incredibly easy to meet cool people. I also have a belief that it's really easy to stay in shape. I have a belief that it's easy to stay consistent with your workouts. And because of that, as you wish. But this girl had no friends because she believed that it was really hard to meet cool people. And as long as you continue to perpetuate that, the longer it continues to perpetuate. And that all comes down to your freak. So let's talk about your freak. That's going to be rule number 3. So let's get to that. And I'm putting the mic right next to this so you guys can have some enjoyment as I'm wiping this down. It's a little session, so I'm gonna take a drink of water, relax, breathe into this, maybe take some big deep breaths, enjoy this. Sit back. Like I'm here to teach. And I'm here to lay the wisdom down that I've learned over the last 20 years of learning this stuff, spending close to 200 grand on all this stuff, and now traveling the world figuring out these damn secrets to share with you guys. I'm laying the wisdom down. Before I even get into that, as mentioned on the last video, I'm very passionate about this. I'm going to continue talking about this all the time. It's so damn important for you to not only watch these videos, which is amazing. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. But if this is the first time I'm saying this to you right now on this video, you can do better. Right? You can come back to this video again and again and again and again and really understand and conceptualize and understand this stuff. You're taking notes. You're putting your notes into the comments down below. That really helps other people understand like what you're realizing. And the more that you can communicate this stuff and speak it out in some capacity, not even speaking it out, but just creating it in some capacity, you're understanding this more. It's firing the neural pathways even more so that you can actually start changing your brain waves with this and your neural pathways so that you actually know this stuff. And when you know this stuff, it raises your frequency. Once you raise your frequency, you're on that vibrational match so that everything starts pulling in. So with that being said, very timely, I couldn't spell frequency on the last video. I got corrected. Thank you, Jessica, for correcting me in the comments. So I'm just gonna go with freak, and that sounds more fun anyways, but freak equals freak, okay? You freaks match with your freaks. what am I getting at? Okay. This is your frequency, right? Wherever it is. Okay, everything is a wave, everything is energy. If you don't know that, now you know that. Everything is energy, literally everything. The camera that I'm looking at, that is energy, just vibrating at a different frequency than this light and my glasses. Everything is frequency, everything is energy. If you zoom in far enough, you understand that. Everything is just vibrating at a different frequency, right? So, with that being said, everything is frequency. Freak matches freak. So, if you are constantly attracting not cool people, low vibrational people, it's just an indicator of what you're vibrating, whatever your frequency is. Okay? But here's the thing is that if you want to attract, again, more money, I went for this example last time, but let's say you, in your business, you want to make 30K a month in your business, but you are on the frequency of $10,000 a month. That's not a match, right? That's not a match. And here, actually, I'm going to do this. It's not a match. You see that it completely misses. So it's only till we get our frequency up, and I'm just giving this example because it's easy and money is literally energy. Everything is energy, okay? So until you get your frequency up to 30K a month, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter how many leads you get. It doesn't matter how many other opportunities you get, how many, you'll do something to sabotage it. I even had a mentor. It was funny because he shared me this story about, he had a client that he had a goal to start making, I believe it was like 20, 30K a month. And he got to that point. He got to the 30K a month. But here's the thing, he didn't actually shift his frequency. He just had a nice pop in revenue. And then what he did, he could have just stayed focused and keep doing the same thing. But what happened was, because of the fact that he was still down on this lower frequency, he actually self-sabotaged himself and said, he got this other opportunity that was like over here, where he could make like 5K a month doing like something that was completely unrelated to what he was doing over here. And so he went over here, and then because of that, he started just he dropped everything over here of making the 30K a month. He went back over here, he was making 5K, like just completely messing it up. And then he was only making 5K a month, right? Because of the fact he had gotten to 30K a month right here. But then as soon as he got there, because he wasn't on that frequency, it was basically a mistake in a sense. And because he wasn't there, he was still like right here, he went to this opportunity and self-sabotaged it, right? So you're a freak, don't lie. Your freak equals your freak. Okay, and this is the big thing. I like talking about this as well, is that vibration, your vibe and frequency are two different things, right? The vibration are the little pops. They're more short-term things that can raise your vibration. It's like, hey, I went and did my breath work, or I had a vibration. I raised the vibration real quick up to 30K. But because the frequency is the long-term sustainable energy, essentially. So because of the fact that his frequency was down here, but his vibration went up to 30K, the vibration was just a nice little pop up, and then it just immediately went back down to the frequency. So whatever your frequency is, that's what you're going to consistently attract, even if you break out of that for a quick second. You can never outperform and outsustain your frequency. So the most important thing is to raise your frequency. How do we do that? I got you. I will tell you. So as I shared on the previous video, and even someone was asking that inside the Skool Community on our live call today, she's like, how do I raise my frequency? How? And there was a lot of emotion charged behind that. And that in there lied the problem. The question how? How do you raise your frequency? How do I do that? I'm having a hard time with that. Wipe that clean. Quit asking how. Quit feeling like you need to have it, right? Because the simple fact that you need to have it and you're asking how, you're just pushing that further and further away. And I'm going to get to that in rule number 4 a little bit further, because that's like really the basis of rule 4. But it's like, I just want to help you understand what are all the things that contribute to your frequency. So that's one thing. Do your absolute best at quit asking the word how. Instead, what does that look and feel like? Getting more clear on really what that looks like. What does that feel like? So that you can focus on the what and the why, and the how starts revealing itself through the process. Okay? So start looking at it through that lens. And the more that you can get clear on who my highest self, I talk about this a lot, but it's like naming your highest self. My highest self that I like to name, Nico Leike. There's a whole story behind that. My grandmother, my yaya, actually named me Nico Leike. She would always call me Nico Leike. And so for whatever reason, I just really felt drawn to name my highest self, or even my younger self, my inner child, which I do believe is really the same thing. But like, what does that look like and feel like to Nico Leike? What does that sound like? And how do I start getting in that frame of mind of how does Nico Leike handle this? How does he raise his vibration, right? What does he do? How does he think about things? And the more that you can get in that mind frame of, this is my highest self and this is where they are, and that's where their frequency, because your highest self is up here. Okay? And maybe your vibration right now is down here, but this truly is where your highest self is. And so if you can start continue to ask those questions, what does it look like? What does it feel like? How does Nico Leike approach this? What kind of thoughts does he have? What kind of frequency it has? And you just start getting in the mind of that person, because they have this frequency that you want. Once you get on the frequency of your highest self, that's when everything starts coming in. The money, the cars, the women, the houses, whatever it is that you want, right? Because all that is on a higher frequency, right? So how do you get onto that frequency? Well, it's a combination of your thoughts, your beliefs, your identity, and ultimately, one of my favorite things about this entire thing is your emotional conviction, right? How do you feel when you're not on that physical plane, when you can't see the money coming in? What is your emotional conviction even when you don't have it? Like, what is your emotional conviction when you have $0 in the bank account, but you know that you are meant to be this incredible human being and experience all the abundance that life has to offer? Until you can get to the point where your bank account has 0 in it and you still know that you're going to build a $100 million company or whatever it is that you want to build, you're going to be a millionaire or whatever. Until you can get to that point, you're not going to have the same emotional frequency, and therefore you're not going to get up to this top level of really having that high frequency where you can attract everything in. So blessings upon blessings on blessings, if you can frame everything as blessings and lessons, that's when you start handling this with more emotional conviction, because of the fact that you're like, yeah, this is serving me, this is helping me, this is growing, this is strengthening me. We can look at it through that lens. That's when things are going in your favor no matter what, right? Even today, interestingly enough, is a really great client, like literally dream client, and we were working together for a few months. She was in the Vision Accelerator program, and she was going to continue with the 6 month, and I was really excited to keep working with her. And I thought we had planned to do that. And then she sent me a message today and she's like, I'm not going to do it. Boom. And so immediately I was like, I would have loved to work with her. And I was a little, a little thrown off just internally. But I just thought about this right here is like my emotional conviction. Because like part of me, my lower self dropped a little bit, fell into a little bit lower of a frequency. Because that was like a vibe drop, right? But then I realized is that like this is just a test. This is a blessing. This is a lesson to help me strengthen my emotional conviction, knowing that I'm still building a multi-million-dollar operation, even if clients drop off, right? And I know what you might be saying is that it's not easy to have that emotional conviction when your bank account is at zero and you still know that you're a millionaire in the mind. And because it's already in the mind, it's in the awareness and it's going to come in eventually. Like what we talked about, the physical plane versus the mental plane. But when you have that and you say, oh, it's really hard. Well, of course, what are we going to say to that? As you wish, right? That's why, again, it's so important to like understand this, that like your beliefs, what you say, what you put out there, your thoughts, your beliefs, your identity, all that, whatever you say, oh, it's really hard to like be emotionally convinced when you don't have anything, knowing that you're going to be a millionaire. But again, then it goes as you wish. So the more that you can continue to understand this type of stuff, and that's why I say come back to this stuff all the time. Don't just watch this video one time. Don't just watch it 2 times. Truly understand it. Take notes. Put comments in, or put in the comments, what are your notes? The more detailed that you can be, the more that you can conceptualize and understand this and speak this stuff and create your own realization of it, the more it's of you. And then you're not falling to this where you're like being emotionally swayed by the physical realm. Because once you truly understand that everything is already created in the whole spectrum, in the mental spectrum, the physical doesn't matter as much. And then that actually leads us into rule number 4. Perfectly timed. Great job. Thanks for reminding me. You guys are a great audience. I'm just having a good time here. And I'm going to explain why that is. But explain to me, like, I would love to hear a little bit more about you guys. Like, what makes you laugh? What makes you have fun? Like, are you self-amusing? Are you being like I'm being right now, where I am more self-amusing? I'm just having fun. I mean, damn, I'm making a video with a whiteboard. Like, you could say, like, this is what professors do. It's kind of lame. Like, it kind of is lame if you think about it. Like giving a lecture. That's what I'm doing. I'm giving a lecture. I'm a professor right now. Hey, nerd alert. But I'm having a blast with this, right? And so the more that you can take that concept, which we're going to dive right into, which is, again, perfect timing, the more that you're going to win this game of life. Okay? So rule number 4 is something I used to struggle with immensely. And I'm getting better and better. And it's honestly like me making these videos and setting the intention to have more fun and be more playful and be more self-amusing is not by accident. I'm doing this specifically. Even before I made this video, I wasn't having an off day by any means, but it was just like, I think there was just a few things that kind of like dropped me down a little bit, right? Just a little bit. But I made the intention to make this video, and I wanted to really just bring more self-amusement. I wanted to have more fun with making a video on a whiteboard, right? Again, professor. But the more that I, really step into that person, which is like, that is my highest self. That's Nico Leike. Nico Leike has fun making videos on the whiteboard. He's self-amusing. He's carefree. He's charismatic. He's just having a good time making jokes for him, right? Sure, like, you guys are the benefit as well. If you guys are laughing, maybe you guys think these jokes and this stuff isn't that amusing. But honestly, it's not for you. I'm just having fun, and that's really what I want to share with you. Why so serious? And again, like I said, this was something I struggled with for a really long time. I'd be so holding on so tight. All these other things I had down packed. This was even just like a year ago, honestly. So things can shift so quickly when you continue to embody your highest self and embody the frequency of that highest self on everything we talked about before. But this is really the missing link to mostly everybody winning at the game of life. Okay, I've seen it so many times. Even a client today in our accelerator program, she's like, I understand all these things that you're talking about. I understand. She's like, then just life gets hard sometimes. Sometimes I just have those days. My response, of course, as you wish. Right? But like, why so serious? Like, why is life so serious? Is it serious? Well, if you take that approach that life is hard, life is serious, life is a challenge, life is a struggle, as you wish. But if you're honestly like, it's embodied in you, and that's again why I'm so adamant about understanding these principles on a deep core level. And the only way you can understand them on a deep core level is you practice spaced repetition. You keep coming back to these. So if you're vibing with my vibe, come back to these videos all the time and get them embodied in you with spaced repetition. Because the more that you do it, it becomes part of your DNA. It literally, it comes down into your cells, every single cell. And that's how I'm able to just, I had a little outline on this video, but that was it, just like the main points. But besides that, all this stuff is coming off the top of the dome because it's part of me. It's ingrained in me. It's part of my DNA, and I can just spit it out. And the fact that I've implemented this last part, I'm able to just spit this stuff out. Because I truly believe that life is a game. Life is just like a video game. Right? And the reason that we get so serious on things is because we're so stuck in our emotions. We get so ingrained in it. But like, if you look at someone else's situation, you are the observer. Right? You're just observing their life. You have no idea what it's like to be inside of their body. You don't experience their emotions. And then when they say something like, oh, life's so hard, and I'm just having a tough time, and this was so tough, and they're given specific examples like Lisa lied to me, and oh, I'm so pissed at her, and she holds on to that for a year, 2 years, whatever it is. Everyone else is like, what's the big deal? Right? Can you relate to that? Because they're observing it. They're not experiencing the emotions that's involved with it. So what does that tell us? Become the observer of your life. Something I absolutely love doing. I'm tempted. Let's just do this. I was about to do this drawing, but this is you. And this doesn't make much sense at all, but let's just go with it. That looks kind of like a sun, but this is a drone. Okay, the flying things with cameras on them. I broke one once time, a couple times. It's just circling around. Imagine that. It's just circling. And what is it doing? It's got eyes on that person. So me, I'm not actually this guy. Okay? I'm making this video, and yes, but really, who I am is I'm the drone that's circling around in my apartment and saying, look at that guy. Look at that guy making videos. Look at that nerd dude. That's that professor that's doing a lecture on a whiteboard. Right? That's really me. Right? And when you can take that approach, you realize that life is not so serious. Life is just a big game. And the interesting thing about this is that, we all of us, our humanness, we want these things. We want the money. We want the relationships. We want the health. All these things are that are gonna, quote unquote, add value to our life and give us more status and make us feel better to a degree. It doesn't really matter. Like, you can't take it with you. Once you die, it's all gone. No one really cares either. You're the only person that really cares. If you get a Lamborghini, other people are gonna care for a second. And you're gonna care for a second, but it's ultimately about the feeling. And so when you can really embody that and understand that you are the source of your emotions, these desires that you want are literally just kind of a middleman. I like drawing this one too. And let's just say, your desires. It's not that what you want is the money. It's what is the money going to give you? What's going to help you feel, right? Again, coming back to the be, do, have. How can you be that right now? How can you experience those emotions right now? Because this money is just a middleman to the emotions. So let's just bypass that and go straight to the emotions, which you can generate within yourself. And if you can't, that's why we have really powerful things in our Skool community. Audios, we have our Vision Espresso, we got all sorts of cool things that can help you really start feeling more. Because when you can start feeling more, that's actually what you want. And then therefore, you don't actually care that much about this type of stuff. And when you don't care about this type of stuff as much anymore, that's when all this stuff starts flying in. It's the wildest concept. Like when you finally reach the point when you truly don't care if you have it or you do have it, then all of a sudden it starts coming in. And it's not an act. You can't fake your frequency, right? But when you really embody this and you know that you're the source of your emotions, you can experience that off rip anytime you want. That's when the life is your oyster. So that's what I got for y'all. Those are the 4 rules. So make sure to embody those. And again, come back to this video plenty of times. We're going to be spitting a lot more fire on this channel. Put in your notes down below. Let us know what you got out of this. Make sure to join the Skool community. If you want to learn how to more so feel this stuff and really embody this stuff even further, we got a coaching program as well. It's really, really powerful. And for the people that are serious about this stuff and want to expedite the process, is for you. So there's links down below. I just made a brand new video that explains it cool. I mean, we've had people that have gone from 7 figures to 8 figures, gone from stuck at 10K a month to 56K a month in 30 days. So if you're an entrepreneur that wants to just start crushing it and take the expedited path to all this stuff and really start experiencing this stuff at a deep level quickly, is for you. So that said, love y'all. Peace out.